It was a fantastic explanation by all the panellists, and thank you very much for that. I hope that the interaction with the two panels that I've just moderated shows how important it is to get these regulations into force. Finally, I would like to bring to your attention the immediacy of fishing tragedy. Only the week before last, in my local community in Ireland, in Dunmanus Bay, a young man in his early 20s, the son of neighbours of mine, went missing whilst out fishing on his inshore fishing boat. The circumstances of his loss are unclear at present, but it happened very close to land, and it took some time for the emergency services to be alerted. He was fishing alone. His name was Kodie Healy, and his body was recovered 4 days later, and his funeral took place last Wednesday. I could not attend because I was preparing for this conference. He was a young boy who adored the sea and had dreams of making his life at it, but he needed help. And we, as industry and regulators, have an obligation to help our fishermen. It is why Sverrir Konradsson from Iceland was on the panel today, and others. Cultural change is so important and critical to stamp out unnecessary deaths. We should have harnessed his incredible youthful enthusiasm to be a seafarer, a fisherman, and worked with him to harness that brilliant, bright, and beautiful energy to make him safe, representative of the aims of what our panellists have spoken about today. And we have also spoken about our rescue services and the need to protect them also. I think deep in my heart today of the Irish rescue helicopter Rescue 116, whose 4 crew were lost in 2017. This slide shows the consequences for communities, for so many agencies, including, of course, our search and rescue services, both in emergencies and lengthy recovery operations, when things go wrong. My sister Mary was heavily involved in the local search for Kodie, as was Frank Fleming on our panel here. My heart bleeds for his mother Samantha and his father John Paul, and I want them to know that here today in Torremolinos, the world grieves for their son, and that this terrible loss will not, but has, spurred all nations to look after the fishing community, to help them and keep them safe. I hope that in highlighting this tragedy, Kodie Healy will always be remembered, and I deeply commend the nations who came here and ratified the Cape Town Agreement, and those who have made such a strong commitment in signing the declaration yesterday evening, including my nation, Ireland, who I obviously urge to ratify the agreement now as a priority. And of course, ratification is essential. I personally have a long family history in merchant seafaring and fishing, and it is no coincidence that I am here pushing for regulation to be implemented. I have paid a heavy price for the failure to implement regulation. The last act of normal human kindness by my father, on the night he died in the MV Betelgeuse disaster in Bantry Bay in County Cork, Ireland, 40 years ago, was to give a lift to Kodie Healy's grandfather, Paddy Healy, dropping him off in a local village on his way to work as an oil pollution control officer for Gulf Oil, bordering the offshore jetty seen here at 8 p.m. on the 7th of January 1979. You can imagine what happened to Paddy Healy's mind the next day when he saw this, and that all were lost. My father swimming to the island to try and save himself and others, his body not found for 8 months, when the ship exploded because we as nations had not ratified SOLAS 1974, which included simple inert gas systems to prevent explosion. All 50 people on the ship and on the jetty died. So I raise this to remind the world of the importance of ratifying regulation that has been agreed. Some of us have to pay a heavy price. We have work to do, And now we must go and do it to prevent further unnecessary loss of life in the fishing industry. Finally, it has been my honour to moderate here today and to interact with you, and I would like to thank you all for your efforts, and in particular the incredible work of the IMO Secretariat, Pew Charitable Trust, Spain, FAO and ILO, and all of you who work so hard and can't always get the message through when you take it back home in your nations, for your positive actions here and for being here. We have made enormous progress. You have demonstrated that you are true and honourable friends of the sea and those that work there. And now let's finish the job, demonstrating that together we will always make a difference. So please, can you put your hands together and thank the wonderful panellists. Thank you very much.